Hello, everyone. We're here for another episode of Tarot and Tea, and this one is for Taurus season. And really cool that we are doing it on the new moon in Taurus. That's what we're recording right now. So let's settle in, and we're going to have a little discussion here. I invited my friend Melanie. My gosh, we took our first teacher training together a long time ago, and I really had you in mind for this discussion. When I started doing this series, I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm definitely reaching out to Mel for Taurus season, as Mel has her sun in Taurus, and she really is grounded in this energy. So yeah, I'm gonna let Mel introduce herself, a little bit about what she does.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melanie Mucciarone, and as Luna has said, this is one of the nostalgic kind of like re-meetings of Taurus. And what do I do?
What do you do? I mean, so much magic and medicine that Mel
Oh,
works with.
yeah. I'm trained as a naturopath. I work with the elements of predominantly my base is earth, and water is the two elements that I'm most comfortable with working. Uh, Recently have been initiated into fire and air, in regards to that. I love everything to do with nature and plants and herbs and animals. The tarot are an aspect with which I was initiated from my maternal grandmother from when I was 14 years old. Um, she was a mystical, phenomenal Scorpio visionary. And um, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
You're going to be able to edit a lot of the stuff out, right? Like,
No, we're just live. This is just happening.
oh
We're flowing with it. It's all good.
my God.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the reasons why I was like super interested to reach out to you, because my former guests for the other monthly seasons were people who were not well versed in tarot. So yeah, it was more of me bringing up the themes and then them yeah, just sharing about how that shows up in their life, and how, you know, just the wisdom that they've gotten over the years in being in that energy, and seeing how that shows up and seeing how they can become the masters of these archetypes. But then you have an even deeper understanding of the tarot than I do, as you've been initiated from a very young age. So I thought that that would be a really rich discussion. And yeah, as we both are, really do work with the body a lot. I mean, we both have taken how many trainings in yoga and somatic
Numerous.
practices and the archetypes. Like we're just really like deep in that with massage therapy, and you with Ayurveda, so working with the elements, like and both of us being very much people of the nature and belonging in the forest. So super, yeah, super pertinent to have
Yeah.
this kind of discussion with you.
I'm grateful for the opportunity to get to like reconnect and talk about something that we're both very passionate about, something
Hmm.
that illuminates at least most of my days is contemplating the deeper meanings of everything. And that's something to do a lot with the Taurus energy is like how, why, when, where does it stem from, what is it rooted in? And Taurus in general is one of the most diligent of the earth signs in the sense, I mean, Virgo and Capricorn are also very diligent, but in very different aspects.
Hmm.
Taurians love to take their time to know things, where Capricorn would ram through most of it because they already know, and Virgo really goes into the finer details. Um, Taurians, what I've noted in myself, I don't know if it's a Taurus thing, but you really connecting with the seasons.
Mm.
And not only just the seasons as we see know them as spring, summer, fall, and autumn, autumn and winter, more along the seasons of the day, what happens in the day. And the tarot has a lot to do with that as well. Whereas a lot of people use the tarot as a kind of like a yes or no game. Like, what if I get this job, what exactly will be my benefit? Or should I go in this relationship? What would Instead, it's more like story time. Anyone who loves to read and understand the history behind the tarot is through psychology. It's understanding the subconscious mind. And um, when one takes the time to really explore the tarot, it's a very deep rabbit hole.
Oh, yes. You can't ever, yeah, you'll just keep learning. Like,
All
I
the
feel
time.
like one of my tarot teachers that I follow, I don't know if you know her, but Lindsay Mack, I really connect with her teachings.
Lindsay Mack.
Yeah, Lindsay Mack. So I've been following her podcast for years and then took a couple of her online courses. And um, I really love her approach to it. It's very much about rewilding, like that's one of her main things. And I love how she brings up how, the tarot evolves, has been evolving throughout the years, and how, a lot of the older symbology is like no longer pertinent in our current culture and time. And so just how that evolves over time, and just like looking in my life, and she's noted that as well, of how our relationship with the archetypes also deepens. It's very
Mhm.
spiralic, so it really deepens as we move through those cycles and kind of uncover more deeper layers to it, deeper understanding and deeper wisdom. So it's a very like alive, it's a very alive thing, and it very much is like relational.
It is very much. The tarot will always reveal what we are either hiding from ourselves or what we have yet to learn.
Mm.
It very rarely deals with anything from the past, in the sense that the past is done, you cannot change it. You can understand it, you can let go. These are the things that you learn from the past. How to release the stories that we hold. There are certain romanticisms about our past, whether it be from childhood, adolescence, young adulthood, that the tarot will be like, but you've learned this lesson countless times. Like, let it go, move forward, and you will find the abundance waiting for you. The tarot is also like what I come to appreciate about the tarot as um, getting wiser with age is that sometimes it's best not to know certain things and
Mm.
to allow the unfolding to take place. And the cards will reveal themselves once you're become really attuned with your deck. Um, they'll just be like, no, you don't need to know this right now. It's not going to serve anything. Enjoy the journey.
Mm.
And what's beautiful about reading the tarot is that it is a journey. So
It's
when we look
literally
at
like the hero's journey
it
through,
is
from the
very
fool all the
much.
way to the world. Yeah.
And it's like the tarot I related oftentimes to like taking a saunter into the woods. Like, yes, you can look at that saunter as like, okay, this is point A, I want to reach point B. But then along that way, there's flowers and trees and maybe a stream or a babbling brook that needs to be visited. Like, there are what in our daily lives considered distractions. But in fact, that's life. That's us living, is when we veer off the trodden path in order to trust it. And the tarot often will reflect that and be like, well, you could look at it in this way, but here's the story that you've built around it. Is this how you want to continue with this story? The moment you have a tarot reading, it'll change the future because the awareness has shifted, the perception has shifted, the um the energy just by having that introspection, be like, ooh, let's consult the tarot. That will shift the future just by that thought, just by that action. Because the energies of nature move like that. And some people might call it the butterfly effect. The moment you think it will happen. Most likely how you think it, how you feel it.
Mm.
So more or less, unless like the universe is also very kind and giving like some slowness to it. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So it looks like we're gonna have to do another episode more directly on the tarot because as before we end the conversation, it's like, what are we gonna talk about? And
I was like, oh, look at all this stuff coming out.
yeah, it's very hard to be concise. So I'm just gonna bring us back and
Hmm.
refocus on the
Hmm.
tarot
Yeah.
for the Taurus season. And I would love to zoom out before zooming back in, just to
Hmm.
put us in context. So Taurus
Hmm.
is in the springtime in terms of the seasonal wheel. And the springtime, as we know, it's when the little early spring blooms are starting, but mostly there's things planted. And I like to look at the fixed earth energy with Taurus. So it's like, okay, things are planted, and now it's like, how do we maintain that? What does it need to be nourished? And we can see that again. I see like tarot as a mirror. So and nature as like everything's a mirror, and so it's like we're looking and we're seeing, okay, what kind of conditions, like what do we need to nurture so that these things grow. And so we
Hmm.
can look at our bodies the same way, because it is an earth sign. We're really looking at the physical aspect of life, so our bodies, maybe our finances, work, nature, anything that's kind of more in the tangible realm, and
Hmm.
how we build these structures and systems to maintain and take care of these vessels and of the things around us. So it's super tied to all of this very fertile, very like abundant energy. So it calls us to really look at how do we work, like what are our kind of like daily practices, or what are our kind of point de repère, anchor points within the day, to be more present, actually. I feel like there's
Hmm.
a lot of presence in the earth energy, a lot of rooting, a lot
Yeah.
of um yeah, the anchor points, so like related to our bones.
Yeah.
So did you have anything to share about how the Taurus sign is placed in the seasonal wheel, and how this fixed earth energy sign, how we can work with that?
Yeah. So being the second sign of the zodiac, from Aries being the first and Taurus being the second in regards to the spring. So the really like early to late spring is when Taurus season is at its fullest. The practices is the awakening of the senses
Mm,
after a long winter.
mm,
Start to notice the buds, and we start to notice the grass is becoming greener. We start to notice the fresh leaves having that waxy newness to them. We start noticing the sounds of bird song at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:15 in the morning, whether we're aware of it or not. They're there, they're singing, they're calling in the sun to rise. Um, there are many practices that Tauruses or earth signs in general tend to be attracted to in regards to meditation, whether it be sitting in mindfulness or with music. The earth signs are all about the senses: taste, smell, touch, sight, sound. They love to immerse themselves in sensual delight.
mm,
And the spring is really about the rejoicing of sensual delights. Walking barefoot in the grass is one of my favorite practices of really just being like, I had to wear boots all winter, and now my feet get to spread and get to feel the coolness and the moistness and the freshness of the earth, Mother Earth, once again awakening and becoming lush. Um, Also, being able to go outside and have your bare skin be kissed by the sun and the rays, and enjoying just being. That's one of the just to be. Taurus is about being slow and
mm,
deliberate. it's one of the aspects of all the fixed signs is their consistency and patient aspects are really quite profound in the fixed signs, Taurus being one of them. And however that calls into each individual. Because if we're looking at someone, like their upbringing might be very different or their culture might be very different, how does one channel that is very individualistic. Even sipping, like what you just did, a nice cup of tea and noticing the shift from warm beverages to cold beverages, or at least room temperature if you are respecting Ayurvedic. Nothing cold.
Yeah.
um, so working with plant allies, the first plant ally of the season or is dandelion for
Mm,
a majority of people who are, comfortable with exploring that dandelion. The roots go deep, and she's very nourishing, and she helps tonify the liver and helps to awaken the digestive system from the transition from like really heavy foods to lighter foods, now that our internal fire is getting stronger, in the
mm,
summer months. So there are many ways to practice um, becoming embodied in the spring, and less in the headspace, the introspection that winter brings.
mm-hmm.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, because we're becoming more external in terms of the energy
exactly.
at this time. And I really love how you brought up dandelion. And yeah, usually in the spring, I like to mention, it's very pertinent and very helpful to do a detox. And dandelion's wonderful, as you said, for detoxing the liver and just like,
Detoxing is not a word I like to
oh,
really use. No,
okay.
I know, and I no, it's to each their own.
Hmm.
In Ayurveda, because it's a very um, it is predominant, especially with panchakarma, the terms of detoxing and um, cleaning. The body loves us immensely.
Loves what?
Loves us immensely. Our bodies love us immensely.
Oh.
They do everything and anything possible to thrive and survive. Now, in regards to how we connect with that, even a disease or a cold is teaching us a lesson.
Mm.
It's teaching us how to connect with our bodies. Dandelion is known as a toner.
A
She's a
tone.
tonic. Not she's a tonic. And what does that mean is that the liver is functioning already. It's one of the best organs, a favorite amongst herbalists, because the liver does so much for us, that if we're using gentle herbs like dandelion, it's actually nourishing the liver to function better.
Thank you so much for bringing that. I really love that reframe. That's so good. Yeah, we're just supporting it because, yeah, the body is intelligent and the body is doing all the things. It's just using sometimes these plant allies to support and
Yeah.
fortify the already inherent healing process. Thank you for that.
Well, this is you're very welcome. A lot of the times when, because it's very pertinent, and it's like everywhere in herbalism, and especially in allopathic medicine, like to detox. We got to detox, and it's really become a relearning for a lot of us. I
Mm.
mean, you and I have done the kriyas of yoga, where you have to purge, vomit, take a laxative to poop yourself less senseless, because you're clearing all of the shit out. It's fantastic, really. A lot of fun to vomit in a buddy bucket. Um, but like it's a way of traumatizing the body.
Mm.
And when we look towards the wise woman way, the wise woman knows that everything is a medicine.
Mm.
And you spoke about the femininity of Taurus, how it's really quite beautiful when we accept the wise woman way of medicine. It's that the body knows exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it.
Hmm.
It is our duty to create a loving relationship with oneself in femininity, because this is what the whole concept of femininity is how to love oneself first. And then the cup overfloweth into others because our cup is full. When we take care of the mind, when we take care of the body in ways that honor our own truth in the wise woman way, sometimes you do need to purge, you do need to make yourself vomit. But that on the scale of medicine is a bit later. The first medicine is rest. When everything else is like, you receive news that something doesn't sit well, our emotional response is to react. I need to solve it now.
Mm.
I need to fix it now. Let me take a pill. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me mask this pain. Where it's like, rest. Give the body time to assimilate. We spoke about this um, right before connecting for this. It's like the chaos of the last like couple of years, where it's like if we just had a moment more to rest in between the chaos, a lot of what we're feeling, or a lot of what most of us are experiencing now, like coming out of survival mode, wouldn't hit so hard for a majority of us.
Hmm.
You know? And so that's where I find it's like that transition. Taurus energy is very much about allowing nature to thrive in the seasons of life, death, rebirth,
Hmm.
birth, and then it cycles again. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Hmm. It's there's two ways we can go with that. So, hmm. Okay, let's dive in. Because for the Hierophant, I don't know if I say that right.
You said it
It's
beautifully.
related to the Pope
Yeah.
in the older traditions. But something you said made me think of that as well in terms of our relationship with our body and our relationship with plant allies. And one of the teachings that I got into with the Hierophant is um, the importance of not externalizing our spiritual authority and power, instead
Nice. Yeah.
to understand that it's within us. And so, in that same way, we have so many things that we do this with, right? I mean, it's been done with religion for so long. Like, you have to go through the priest to reach God. Like, there's all
Yeah.
this like externalization of our power with the
Mhm.
plants for the detox culture and all. It's like we need those things for us to, consume to be well. And it's like, well, the wellness is inherently there. We just need to support it, right? We need to create
Exactly.
the environments that it thrives in. Just like I love you know, like a cactus is not going to do great in a rainforest environment. So it's
Exactly.
like, what is the environmental conditions in which we can put our bodies and selves in that they will thrive? So
Mhm.
I really saw that pertinent point there. So maybe we just jump into the Hierophant, because I know that when I began in the tarot, and then I started making the links to astrology, I found the Hierophant was one of those that was like not immediately obvious. It was like a bit more of a like, how do I place myself in here? And now I have more. But yeah, I'll just share kind of the major points that I extracted from that and
Mhm.
how that relates to Taurus, and then we'll discuss, because I know you have a lot to say about that as well. Um, but the Hierophant, again, it's like very much related to spirituality. There's a type of authority as well in there. Um, and in my work with the Hierophant, it's really like, what are kind of those root systems and those structures and those practices that we ground ourselves in. Like,
Yeah.
what do we deeply value? Because again, earth element is very much about our value system. Like, what are our priorities? So
Yeah.
you have to look at kind of the root system under there in terms of the beliefs, about our actual like spiritual beliefs, our greater principles in lives, our guiding forces and values. And um, are we aligned with that? And are we acting in a way that is in coherence and integrity with that? And just kind of checking in about that and seeing if what we are, how we are relating to ourselves and the world around us,
Mhm.
is in coherence with that. Because if it's not in alignment, that's when we're going to see a lot of imbalances and things that are um, missing some care and time and attention. Um, so I like to just place it in that kind of light. And so, what wisdom do you have to share with us about the Hierophant and how that's related to Taurus energy?
So in regards to the Hierophant or the high priest,
The High
because
Priest. Ooh, I haven't heard
the
that
high
one.
priest or the high priestess, the high priest, they're one's the female, one's the male aspect. Um, I always found a bit of resistance in myself trying to resonate with the high priest energy, in particular because it is such a, especially with the Pope as its center, and a lot of that authority that tends to come from it, in regards to like the Catholic Church. And like there's always some points of it where I feel that in today's tarot, it would be better served as the high priest, the wise man, more than the Pope.
Mm,
Um, in regards to how Tauruses relate to the Hierophant or the high priest, it's it's really about being diligent, like you said, in our daily practices of taking care of the body, of taking care of the self, the senses. The Hierophant is really, that bridge between the subconscious and the conscious, the material world and the spiritual world, in the same light that the high priestess is also in that realm. The high priestess will tend to work with more chaotic energies, where the high priest is more exacting
mm-hmm,
in how they engage in these energies. So when we set, like, okay, today I will wake up at whatever time suits my body and my nature. And for the first hour, I will meditate or I will do some spiritual practice. This is the high priest energy with which Taurus will thrive in.
mm-hmm,
Tauruses need, or most times, really function well with routine. They function well with having a set, um, understanding of like, okay, this is the routine, this is the set value, these are my beliefs. And it's not because like the high priestess can kind of take bits and pieces, right, in the chaos, learn from different avenues. Whereas the high priest will, and as a Taurus, they have to follow a certain belief system that has already been set for a while and understand the true root system of that before mixing it up.
mm-hmm,
So when when studying or when mastering anything, it has to come from that disciplinary action of
mm-hmm,
like, well, this is the routine. X amount of years spent studying one modality, X amount of years studying that modality, and then seeing how the two link. This is what Taurus is thriving with the high priest. In that sense, the resistance, I understood it. And I appreciated it because most, especially as a woman, to be like the high priest. Okay, patriarchy bullshit.
Oh yeah.
But then it's understanding that the patriarchy has served a purpose in allowing women or feminine energy to kind of rest and then build up once again before unleashing the chaos.
We need a strong container to really open up. Yeah.
And now people who are like the duality of male and female, sun and lunar energy exists in all of us. Night and day, it's this is the duality of life in general. Women are stepping into their femininity in a very true and sacred manner, and men are stepping into their masculinity in a true and sacred manner. Women are honoring the fact that, yes, they also have masculine energy, but they don't need to go into it all the time when they're in the presence of a divine masculine. And a divine masculine is not going into their feminine side so much so when they're in the presence of a divine feminine. So that harmony is taking place sporadically, but it is taking place where now we're like understanding this is what the high priest embodies, is that the spiritual world and the material world, the masculine world and the feminine world can be in harmony. But harmony does not mean devoid of chaos.
Mm-mm.
It is not devoid of destruction. It is not devoid of X amount of number of dark nights of the soul. That's picking and choosing. I wish it was summer all the time. No, you don't. Nobody wished it was summer all the time. Then you would have the desert. Go live in the desert. See what summer is like all the time. I wish it was winter all the time. You do? Move to the Arctic. See what it's like to have winter all the time. We feel a lot of times that when we say certain things, like to have that wish, more and more are becoming aware. The high priest energy now, in particular with the new moon that just took place like yesterday, and we're having the effects of it still today. What seeds we are planting right now in Taurus is really in light of self-worth, self-care, and self-acceptance. These are the beliefs, the core beliefs of Taurus. Move slowly, know your worth, walk with integrity, and trust that everything is going to work out. The high priest has done the work, has seen it, and now they are initiating others in this knowledge as well. They're not going to remove any obstacles. Obstacles are there for them to learn. But their own belief system has been set because they have gone through their dark nights of the soul. They have gone through the shit hitting the fan, gone through it all. They're like, it happens. It's good. Move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that point of like the wisdom of lived experience as opposed to just the knowledge, how necessary that is. You brought up so many things. It's very hard to not continue on tangents. I'm gonna let that be as it is. Um, yeah, I really love to just highlight the point of the that masculine principle within Taurus and within the Hierophant of yeah, it's how we show up, you know? It's our quality of presence and the containers and the boundaries. And I love the word worthiness. That's so deep in there, in this energy, as again, earth related to values, and worthiness. And so I love to bring up the point of like how we build that trust and how we build that sense of worthiness is that discipline and that devotion of showing up to our practices and showing up to ourselves, and just putting in that time and energy. So yeah. Thank you so much. That was really beautiful.
From my heart to your heart.
Mm. So, uh,
I
may we
know.
continue on the Empress?
Well, I just want to not to cut it off,
Mm,
but to honor what you had asked. That at
mm,
4:30, it
mhm,
was, I don't know what you have, so I don't want to like over overgo. If you really are like, we can talk about it.
mhm.
That's like, I want to respect the timing that you said.
Thank
So
you.
as a
I really feel nurtured by this discussion, so I'm gonna go straight into,
okay,
if you're good with it, the
I'm
Empress
good with it. I'm
energy.
good with it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. Like I said before the discussion, I really wanted to touch upon the Empress energy in relation to Taurus because it's, yeah, it's so there. And it would be missing a huge chunk um, of the Taurus energy. So it's like the more feminine side,
Yes.
the Empress being related to Venus, Venusian energy. So the planet of love and beauty and pleasure and like all
And
that
war.
yummy stuff.
And war.
And war. It's funny, I
And
heard
war.
Mars related to war more than Venus, but
Venus is also, because Venus and Mars are Aphrodite and Aries.
mm,
They are the archetypes of love and war.
mm,
Love oneself is to really face the wars within oneself. This is what the Empress holds. She has faced her deepest fears. She has faced her deepest truths with courage.
mm,
To love oneself is not to be without war, but to have made peace with the shadows that lie within.
mhm,
So Aphrodite has a thirst for war because it means truly living and living in the beauty that sometimes, um, even though wars can be are extremely tragic, extremely volatile, and sometimes completely unnecessary when it's based in the ego, when it's based in self love, when it's based in self acceptance, when it's based in discovering your worth and honoring it, sometimes going to war is necessary.
mm. Yeah.
Because it means having
Okay.
boundaries. It means having boundaries. It means like you're willing to stand up for something and be like, no, I'm not going to accept this kind of behavior or treatment because these are my values. The Empress sits in her splendor, knowing no one can mess with her because she has gone to war with herself countless times
Mhm,
and has survived and thrived after every challenge. So, yes, being Venusian doesn't negate the fact that war will take place.
mhm. Okay, because it's totally a wink to this, and I find that I can't, like in my lunar rituals every month, whether it's the new moon or the full moon. I mean, it's more pertinent in the full moon because we're really looking at the axis of each sign. But yeah, we can't have birth without death. We can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing that point up. Yeah, it's like, so the way that I understand the Empress, and again, I'm always
Mhm.
making references back to Lindsay Mack to honor her work and how deeply that um, helped me settle into the archetypes. But she explains, and I really love this because it's so juicy. But the Empress as it's very like related to self-worth.
Mhm.
And she said it's like it invites us into um, deeper potential and deeper opening to receiving.
Mhm.
And when we open to receive, obviously, it's not all just the good stuff or all just the, it's everything, right? We can't, like when we open, it's to all of life, it's to the whole spectrum. And she describes it as like it dilates our capacity to receive. And I love that reference to birth
Yeah.
because, again, death and rebirth, opening that channel and opening the capacity to energetically, physically, emotionally receive
Yeah.
all that is being offered and all that is there. So I love to see the Empress in that capacity of how can we um, kind of expand our sense of worthiness and expand our capacity to receive more and more of life, which is full of joy and full of difficult times and full of everything, right? Like the Taurus and Scorpio axis present at the full moon, it's the death and rebirth and the fact that it is intertwined. You cannot have one without the other, can't destroy without creating. It's just all there. So thanks for bringing up. I didn't see the Venus Mars, but again, Mars was back in the day related to Scorpio as well. There's some things about it being more related to Pluto, but like further back, it was related to Mars as well, eh?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with the Empress, she is the mother of the tarot deck. She embodies the mother. When you see the tarot of the Empress, she sits pregnant
Mm-hmm.
in her glory. And what's the subtlety of the Empress card is that in order for the mother to have been birthed, the maiden had to die.
Mm. Yeah.
And that, in most tarot, they'll show the Empress with the crown of 12 stars on her head.
She has a crown.
Yes. This is like in again the traditional tarot rider white cards.
Hmm.
So she has the 12 stars showing her connection to the mystical realm and the cycles of nature. So 12 months, 12 planets. She knows all, like she has been initiated now. Now, what a lot of belief systems is that, like, it's not only in order to um, embody the mother energy, you don't have to give birth to a physical child. It is a rite of passage every woman goes through. Every woman, regardless if a child has been birthed or not.
Hmm.
It tends to happen through the ages of like 33 to 37 for most women. Some a bit earlier because, again, we are not like, we are so individualistic in our nature. But energetically, that shift takes place in the 30s for most women
Hmm.
because now most of our lifespans have been elongated thanks to science and ways of living. So the 30s are huge and monumental for many women because they witness the actual death of the maiden within themselves. Aspects that no longer apply, beliefs that have been stripped away, and you birth yourself as a mother who knows the cycles, who has now become more intimate with the cycles, not fully a crone in her wisdom, but in that beauty that she's like, earth and life and death are within,
Hmm.
and making a piece of that. And understanding that once we connect with nature, once we really immerse ourselves within the trees and the rivers and the oceans and the mountains, we see how intrinsically connected everything is. And the abundance shifts. There's always abundance, be it from the harvest, be it from planting seeds, be it abundance of time to reflect. Abundance is present everywhere. Our perception of it changes over time. We can be abundantly bored or abundantly overstimulated. It changes, but the abundance is always there. The Empress, like Because the Empress is associated with Libra and Taurus, both whose mother guardian is Venus, you get the duality of grounding, like the earth in the fixed sign, or Libra's vibrant, curious movement sign of always wanting to understand. And there's a interplay. I like to think of it as like the two of pentacles, the juggler going like
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah.
between the two energies, because they're very, earth energy and air energy are very, very different. And so the Empress embodies both of that. Or it's like you have to kind of play with the idea of fluidity while also being very grounded in self-love and knowing who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. Thank you, Empress Energy, for all your beautiful wisdom. And how you're being channeled through Mel here. I love that. It's wonderful. So, to leave people off with, yeah, it's just something that they could ground into and sink their teeth into. I really love, like, it's beautiful to understand this in, our psyche and the mind. And we started to speak about, different practices that can help us tune into this energy, like walking barefoot, also one of my faves. But yeah, like just yesterday we were like doing work in the garden, like really getting like into the earth energy, taking walks. There was a practice I really loved from Les Primitifs, which is a survival school based on grandfather Tom Brown. And one of the practices is choosing a sit spot every day that you go to. And so sitting at this spot every day and just observing around us, to see the flourishing, life, and how it goes back down, and just seeing how the landscape is alive, and how every day this slow, just like Taurus energy, this, it's every day slowly moving,
Love
slowly
that.
expanding and growing. And so that's a wonderful practice again for the springtime of, like, rain or shine, they do it and just sit in this spot and the same spot, so that we really get to see how this changes over time, and get to tap into the weather of the day, and get to tap into how does it feel when it's raining and dreary, and how does it feel when the sun is shining. And just, it's a wonderful practice to, yeah, really get
Mhm.
into our senses, as you said, which is, so needed for earth signs particularly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love this spot. There was I don't know if it was like a little short video or one of those like reels on YouTube where this guy um he wasn't talking about a sit spot, but he ended up meditating in the same spot um for like a good 2 months. And he showed a video of like his meditation spot, how it began to flourish,
Mm-hmm.
blossom, and things. And then he said all of the parts were planted or something done at the same time. And he's like, and look at where I'm meditating and look at all the other ones. He goes, it was all done at the same time.
Mm.
And his was just abundant. It was lush. It was full of life. It was so vibrant. And that really is a testament to when we are able to sit, doesn't necessarily have to be in stillness, but just sit and be mindful about where we are, how we are breathing, how we receive the breath in our bodies. It is miraculous, the change that just happens by allowing the flow to happen instead of forcing the flow. And this is one of the greatest gifts of the tarot, is allow the flow to take place. You have the guideposts, but the tarot will tell you it's going to happen. Like the phases of the major arcana will happen. Just know that it's going to move. This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Yeah.
This too shall
Mhm.
pass. So, be easy. Like, make your life harder. Just be easy.
Yeah, but also this too shall pass in that like this moment is sacred. Every moment is
Exactly.
so precious, and
Exactly.
to take that moment to stop and smell the roses, then smell the
Yeah.
flowers. And yeah, that's why I really love somatic practices too,
Mhm.
for this. And so I will yeah, wrap up as we finish this discussion. I just really want to thank you, Mel, for yeah, sharing your beautiful wisdom. And it's I was really looking forward to this for people, as I find information is beautiful, but it's the way in which you deliver it. It's the way in which someone is embodied in the archetype that I feel the greater transmission beyond the words gets felt and received and integrated. So I really trust that, yeah, that this is deep medicine for people to just feel your embodied wisdom beyond the words and the information. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for initiating this. Such a treat.
hmm I always get so much out of it. It's just it's been a great anchor practice for myself, and yeah, it's so good to take the time to really settle in to this energy, and then this is one way I love to do it. So whoever's in the South Shore, Montreal area and would like to come to my new moon ritual this Friday in Taurus to, um, yeah, really take some more time one-on-one in person. And the groups are always fantastic. The sharing circles are, yeah, really profound, and being able to see how we all have our own kind of stories and struggles, but and also wisdom to share, but then how we are so connected through that as well. And I find that gives so much strength and so much permission, and so it's just so rich. And through, yeah, the somatic practices that I'll guide us through, and the beautiful sound healing to really savor and get into those senses. Yeah, I just invite you to come if you feel the call. And I'll be placing a link below to how you can reach Melanie. She has so many beautiful practices, so much great healing to be had with Mel if you resonate with her. Yeah, so really looking forward to seeing how this Taurus season lands with everyone. If you'd like to share anything about this discussion, please feel free to reach out. And yeah, sending you all so much love. Thank you.
Thank you.